People travel from all over the world hoping to discover a hidden formula for success, expecting advanced systems, complex strategies, or rooms filled with experts, but instead they often find something surprisingly simple, just a person sitting quietly, reading and thinking. This is where the first illusion breaks. Society has convinced you that intelligence alone guarantees success, that high IQ, top grades, and prestigious education will automatically lead to wealth and happiness. But if you look closely at real life, you will notice something unsettling. Many highly intelligent individuals are not winning. Some are trapped in debt, overwhelmed by stress, stuck in careers they dislike, or struggling in their personal lives. This contradiction raises a powerful question. If intelligence is so valuable, why does it fail so many people? The answer lies in a misunderstanding of how success truly works. Intelligence is not the ultimate advantage people think it is. In fact, it can become a hidden weakness. When people rely too much on their intellect, they often overcomplicate simple decisions, overanalyze opportunities, and justify poor emotional choices using logic. Instead of guiding them forward, their intelligence becomes a tool that works against them. The truth is that success is not about how fast your mind works, but how well you control it. Without discipline, emotional stability, and clear judgment, even the smartest mind can lead you into chaos. Think about life like driving a car. Intelligence is the engine that determines speed and power. But without control, that power becomes dangerous. Many people have powerful engines but lack direction, and as a result, they move fast but end up crashing. This is why intelligence alone is not enough. What truly matters is how you manage your thoughts, emotions, and decisions. The biggest mistake people make is believing that complexity leads to success, when in reality, simplicity often holds the real answers. Instead of chasing complicated strategies, the real path forward begins with understanding human behavior, self-control, and the ability to stay grounded when others lose control. This is the foundation on which everything else is built. Imagine two cars on a racetrack. One has an incredibly powerful engine capable of extreme speed, while the other is modest and average. At first glance, it seems obvious which one will win. But now imagine that the powerful car has no steering control, no brakes, and no stability. It may accelerate faster, but it will quickly lose control and crash. Meanwhile, the slower car, with proper control and balance, stays on track and eventually completes the race successfully. This is exactly how life works. Intelligence is like horsepower. It gives you speed, but it does not guarantee direction. Control, discipline, and emotional stability are like the steering wheel. Without them, even the most talented individuals can fail. Highly intelligent people often fall into a dangerous trap. They believe everything must be complex. Simplicity feels beneath them, so they constantly search for deeper, hidden explanations. In doing so, they create unnecessary complications and miss obvious truths. They overthink decisions, delay action, and sometimes become completely stuck. Worse, they use their intelligence to justify poor choices. Instead of admitting mistakes, they build logical arguments to defend them. This is where intelligence becomes destructive. It turns into a tool for self-deception. On the other hand, people who succeed consistently are not always the smartest. They are the most disciplined. They follow simple rules, avoid unnecessary risks, and stay focused on what truly matters. They do not try to outsmart the system. They work within it. They understand that success is not about brilliance, but about consistency and control. Over time, this approach creates powerful results. While others rush ahead and crash, they move steadily forward. The lesson here is clear. Having more power is not always better. What matters is how you use it. If you cannot control your actions, your intelligence will not save you. In fact, it may push you toward failure faster than anyone else. The real advantage in life is not speed, but stability. The people who win are those who stay on track, avoid major mistakes, and keep moving forward even when progress feels slow. In the long run, control always beats raw power. Modern society celebrates busyness as if it were a badge of honor. People proudly say they are working on multiple projects, learning new skills, and constantly staying active. It sounds impressive, but in reality, this mindset is deeply flawed. Being busy does not mean you are productive. Motion is not the same as progress. Think about a rocking chair. It moves constantly, but it never goes anywhere. Many people live their lives exactly like that, expending energy without achieving meaningful results. The core problem is that people believe success comes from doing more. They think saying yes to every opportunity will eventually lead to something big, but the opposite is true. True success often comes from doing less, but doing it with focus and intention. The most successful individuals are not those who chase every opportunity. They are the ones who carefully choose where to invest their time and energy. They understand that every decision has a cost. Every yes is also a no to something else. When you spread your attention across too many areas, you weaken your ability to excel in any of them. Focus is one of the most valuable resources you have, and it is limited. If you divide it too much, you dilute your potential. The real key is learning to prioritize. Instead of trying to do everything, you must identify what truly matters and eliminate the rest. This requires discipline and clarity. It also requires letting go of the fear of missing out. Many people struggle with this because they want to keep all options open, but keeping too many options often leads to indecision and mediocrity. The truth is that success demands sacrifice. You cannot pursue everything at once. You must choose a direction and commit to it fully. This is not easy, especially in a world that constantly offers distractions. But it is necessary. When you focus your energy on a few important goals, you create momentum. Progress becomes visible and results begin to compound. Over time, this focused effort leads to significant achievements. The lesson here is simple but powerful. Stop trying to do everything. Start doing the right things. There comes a point in life where you realize the opportunity is not your biggest problem. Your biggest problem is distraction disguised as opportunity. Most people fail not because they lack options, but because they accept too many of them. Every day, life presents you with choices that seem attractive, reasonable, and even beneficial, but hidden within these choices is a dangerous truth. Most of them are not meant for you. They are not bad enough to reject immediately, yet not powerful enough to transform your life. This is where people lose their path. They say yes to things that are good, but not great. And slowly their energy gets scattered across dozens of directions. Imagine if you were given only a limited number of major decisions in your lifetime, only a handful of chances to act. Suddenly your behavior would change. You would become more patient, more selective, and far more thoughtful. You would stop chasing every passing opportunity and start waiting for the rare moments that truly matter. This is the mindset that separates average lives from extraordinary ones. The ability to say no is not weakness. It is one of the strongest forms of discipline. When you say no to distractions, you are protecting your focus. When you say no to mediocre paths, you are preserving your energy for something greater. But this is not easy because the world constantly pressures you to stay busy, to keep moving, to keep doing something. It makes you feel like stopping or waiting is a waste of time. In reality, waiting for the right moment is often the smartest move you can make. Success is not about reacting quickly. It is about reacting correctly. The most successful people are not those who act the most, but those who act with precision. They spent long periods observing, learning, and preparing. And then when the right opportunity appears, they move decisively. This requires patience, self-control, and a clear understanding of what truly matters. Without these, you will fall into the trap of constant activity without meaningful progress. The truth is, every time you say yes to something important, you are unknowingly rejecting something that could have been life-changing. This is why saying no is not just a skill, it is a survival strategy. It keeps you aligned with your purpose and prevents you from drifting into a life filled with noise instead of meaning. Most people believe that their biggest danger in life is making bad decisions, but in reality, bad decisions are usually easy to identify and avoid. The real danger lies in good decisions, the ones that seem reasonable, attractive, and safe. These are the ideas that quietly steal your time, your focus, and your potential. A bad idea is obvious. It triggers warning signals in your mind, and you naturally avoid it. But a good idea is different. It feels right. It feels productive. It gives you just enough justification to pursue it. And that is exactly what makes it dangerous. When you fill your life with good opportunities, you leave no space for truly great ones. Your energy becomes fragmented. Your attention gets divided, and your progress slows down to a crawl. Think about your daily life. How many tasks do you juggle at once? How many projects do you start, but never fully complete? This constant switching between priorities weakens your ability to achieve excellence. Success requires depth, not width. It requires you to go deep into a few areas instead of spreading yourself thin across many. When you focus intensely on one or two important goals, your efforts begin to compound. Small improvements turn into major breakthroughs. But when you divide your energy across too many directions, nothing gains enough momentum to succeed. The key is ruthless prioritization. You must be willing to eliminate even good opportunities if they do not align with your highest goals. This requires clarity and courage. It means accepting that you cannot have everything. It means letting go of options that seem appealing but ultimately lead nowhere significant. The people who achieve extraordinary success are not those who chase every opportunity. They are those who ignore most of them. They protect their time like it is their most valuable asset, because it is. Once time is spent, it can never be recovered. Every moment you invest in something mediocre is a moment you cannot invest in something exceptional. This is why discipline is not just about working hard. It is about working on the right things. It is about choosing quality over quantity. When you master this, your life begins to change. You stop feeling overwhelmed. You gain clarity. And most importantly, you create the space needed for greatness to enter your life. Human beings are not designed for independent thinking. We are designed for survival. And for most of human history, survival meant staying with the group. If the tribe ran, you ran. If the tribe stopped, you stopped. This instinct is deeply embedded in your brain, and even today, it influences your decisions more than you realize. The problem is that in the modern world, especially in areas like money and success, following the crowd often leads you in the wrong direction. When everyone is excited, when people are celebrating easy gains and talking about success as if it is guaranteed, that is usually the moment when danger is highest. And when everyone is afraid, when panic spreads and people begin to lose hope, that is often when opportunity appears. But acting against the crowd feels unnatural. It feels uncomfortable, even painful. Your instincts tell you to do what everyone else is doing because that feels safe. But true progress rarely comes from safety. It comes from courage and independent thinking. The ability to step back and observe rather than react is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. Instead of letting emotions guide your actions, you must learn to rely on logic and long-term thinking. This is not easy, especially when fear or excitement takes over. In those moments, your mind becomes clouded and your decisions become impulsive. This is why emotional control is so critical. If you cannot manage your emotions, you cannot make rational decisions. And if you cannot make rational decisions, you will constantly be influenced by the behavior of others. The key is to create distance from the noise. Limit your exposure to constant opinions, headlines, and external pressure. Give yourself the space to think clearly. When you do this, you begin to see patterns that others miss. You realize that most people are reacting, not thinking. And once you understand this, you gain an advantage. You stop being part of the crowd and start observing it. This shift in perspective changes everything. Instead of being controlled by fear or excitement, you become controlled by reason. And over time, this ability to stay calm while others panic becomes one of your greatest strengths. In the pursuit of success, many people focus only on how much they can gain, but very few think about how much they could lose. This is one of the most dangerous mistakes you can make, because in reality, survival is the foundation of success. If you cannot survive setbacks, mistakes, or unexpected challenges, you will never reach long-term growth. Think about it in simple terms. If you lose half of what you have, recovering from that loss becomes much harder than it seems. The deeper the loss, the harder the climb back up. This is why protecting what you have is more important than chasing what you do not have. Many people take unnecessary risks because they are driven by the desire for quick results. They want faster growth, bigger rewards, and immediate success. But in doing so, they expose themselves to massive losses. True success is not about taking the biggest risks. It is about managing risk wisely. It is about ensuring that no single mistake can destroy everything you have built. This requires a mindset shift. Instead of asking, how much can I gain? You must start asking, what could go wrong? This simple change in thinking can protect you from major failures. It forces you to consider worst-case scenarios and prepare for them. It helps you build a buffer between you and disaster. This concept applies to every area of life, not just money. In your career, your relationships, and your decisions, always leave room for error. Do not push yourself to the edge where one small mistake can cause a complete collapse. Build stability into your life. Create margins that protect you when things go wrong, because things will go wrong. Life is unpredictable, and no amount of intelligence can eliminate uncertainty, but you can prepare for it. You can build systems that absorb shocks instead of breaking under pressure. This is what separates those who last from those who fall apart. The goal is not to avoid challenges, it is to survive them and come out stronger. When you prioritize survival, you create a foundation for long-term success. And once that foundation is strong, growth becomes inevitable. You may believe that your success depends entirely on your effort, your discipline, and your mindset, but there is another force at play that is far more powerful than most people realize: your environment. The people you spend time with, the conversations you engage in, and the standards you are exposed to shape your thinking in ways you cannot fully control. Human beings are highly adaptable. We absorb behaviors, attitudes, and beliefs from those around us, often without even noticing. This means that your environment is constantly influencing your direction, either pushing you forward or pulling you backward. If you surround yourself with people who complain, make excuses, and avoid responsibility, you will slowly begin to adopt the same mindset. It may not happen immediately, but over time, it becomes inevitable. On the other hand, if you place yourself among individuals who are disciplined, focused, and driven, you will start to rise to their level. Their standards will challenge you. Their habits will influence you, and their mindset will reshape your own. This is why choosing the right environment is one of the most important decisions you can make. It is not just about avoiding negativity, it is about actively seeking growth. You must be willing to step into spaces where you feel uncomfortable, where you are not the most knowledgeable person, and where you are constantly learning. Growth does not happen in comfort. It happens when you are stretched beyond your current limits. This requires humility because your ego will resist it. Your ego wants to feel superior, to be the smartest in the room. But that is not where growth happens. Growth happens when you are challenged, when you are forced to adapt, and when you are surrounded by people who push you to improve. The people in your life act like a gravitational force. They pull you toward their level. You cannot completely escape this influence, but you can choose which direction it pulls you. This is why being intentional about your environment is critical. It is not about cutting people off harshly. It is about aligning yourself with those who help you become better. When you do this, your growth accelerates, your mindset shifts, and your potential expands in ways you never thought possible. In a world filled with uncertainty, people are constantly searching for something stable, something they can rely on when everything else seems unpredictable. They invest in assets, chase trends, and look for external security, but they often overlook the most powerful asset. They already possess their own ability to learn, adapt, and grow. Everything external can be taken away. Markets can crash. Opportunities can disappear. Circumstances can change overnight. But the knowledge you build, the skills you develop, and the mindset you cultivate remain with you. This is the only asset that cannot be easily destroyed. When you invest in yourself, you create something that continues to grow regardless of external conditions. This growth is not always visible in the short term, which is why many people underestimate it. They look for quick results, immediate rewards, and fast progress. But real growth works differently. It is slow, consistent, and often invisible. It builds over time like a quiet force gaining strength beneath the surface. Every book you read, every skill you practice, every lesson you learn adds to this internal foundation. And over time, this foundation becomes incredibly powerful. It shapes how you think, how you act, and how you respond to challenges. This is what ultimately determines your success. But as you pursue growth, there is one final truth you must never forget. Success is not just about wealth, achievements, or recognition. At the end of life, none of those things will matter as much as the relationships you build and the impact you have on others. You can achieve everything externally and still feel empty internally if you neglect what truly matters. The real measure of success is not how much you accumulate, but how meaningful your life becomes. It is about integrity, trust, and the way you treat people. Because in the end, success is not just about reaching the top. It is about how you live the journey.